Afternoon, Don McKinnon here for the good old days. You know we have two kind of good old days. We had those were the good old days, and these are the good old days. And so right now we have with us a gentleman who is an expert in those were the good old days. Not these are still good days for Norman and I. Norman Shippee is our guest today. He's been before the I believe it was the Inside Scoop with Patricia. Patricia has another engagement at this time. So Norman and I are going to muddle through a show which I think you're going to find very interesting, because Norman's going to start off. He's got two show and tell type things. Now, it isn't show and tell like the kids do. This is more historically the time that'll lead to the other. Norm, could you start us off with the automobile, which is an automobile I saw, but I don't even know if I ever rode in one of those, Norman.
Okay. Well,
hook us over to Norman, and Norman's going to...
What I have is a model of a 1930 Model A Ford Convertible Roadster, which is one of the first convertibles. The car
is a convertible.
Yeah, was a convertible. Of course, I never put the roof down because it was too old.
Well, that would you'd take the roof off.
Right,
and that would make it a convertible.
And that's a convertible.
But you never did that when you
No, we didn't fold it down because it was...
had this automobile, so not this automobile.
Yeah. Well, we had one just like this.
Yeah,
and what I have to say about it is this is the exact model of the car that my wife and I went on our honeymoon in 1948. Now, it's a Model A Ford Roadster with the rumble seats, which you could get in and carry your extra 2 passengers. And it was made by my son as a gift for our 66th wedding anniversary, which was last June. The part of it is that this is a 4-cylinder car. It hasn't got a gas pump. The gas tank was up over your knees. It was gravity feed. It took care of itself. And it had mechanical brakes. In other words, there were rods went to every wheel. Now, it cost us $125 when we bought it. When we sold it 7 years later, we sold it for $185. So it was a profitable deal. But of course, I had
the Shippee name part Scottish?
No, not quite.
No.
But if I had the car today, it would probably be worth about $40,000.
It probably would.
So that takes care of the car. And that takes care of showing
let me
the
ask
difference
you, Norman,
in transportation.
Let me ask you, no, that thing go now. You did never take the top off because when you bought it, it was
too old and you were afraid you'd break it.
And that was a 1930 automobile in 1948.
Yes.
Vintage automobile.
And Lord knows how many miles it had because the odometer didn't show it. And it was gone.
And it kept going, though.
But it ran.
How many years did you have it?
We had it for 7 years.
That's a long time to hold an automobile.
Well, if you couldn't afford another one, that's the one you kept. Those days. The other thing I have is we hear about the little leagues and how many kids play baseball in Raynham today. It's a big amount of children that spend a lot of time at it. In our day, we didn't have Little League. We had the North School, and in back of it was a good ball field, and they played ball there quite a bit. There was also a field over here somewhere near the fire station. I can't exactly figure whose backyard it was, but it was over there. And teams were North Raynham, Raynham Center, all pickup teams, and they would be playing ages from 12 to 60 sometimes would be on the field at the same time.
Was there a South Raynham team? Because
no, there wasn't.
That's a bit away.
There wasn't.
The boys from the South then would have to come up to play for the
Raynham Center. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. But
how many teams though? Just two?
Just the two. There was never any. They weren't official or formal.
No,
or
but
anything.
I'm saying
they were
just two teams.
Pickups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I had a story to tell because I don't know how many of you know it, but I had a twin brother who was Red, Bobby Red. And he was Billy Murphy, who owned the golf course. Billy Murphy was a left-handed pitcher. And my brother was
Billy Murphy.
Billy Murphy, not any of the older, the
I
younger
mean,
ones.
not Murphy, but Murby.
Murby, yeah. Murby's Theater.
Eddie Murby's.
Eddie Murby's
Billy
younger
Murby
brother.
was Eddie Murby.
Yeah.
This is great for townies now.
Yeah, that's
because
what I'm saying.
If you know this family, Eddie Murby, the highway garage
Yeah.
is named after
Right,
Eddie.
right.
And Billy owned the par 3 golf course on Broadway
Right.
until Lopes Brothers
Right.
and Walmart bought him out.
Right. Well, my brother was playing ball one Saturday, and we were supposed to go to visit my grandmother in my cousins up in Greenfield, Vermont, New Hampshire. I'll get it straight, Massachusetts, because there's another Greenfield, the other place too. But Bobby decided he couldn't leave the ball game. And the only thing I have to say is, his grandma said to him, "You should have gone." He said, "No, but I couldn't go because I had to play because of Billy. He was playing ball." And he says, finally, the score that day was Bobby's team, 0. Opponents, 40. But he had to stay and finish the game.
What position did he play?
He was catcher.
He was catcher.
He was Billy Murphy's catcher.
Billy was
and Billy was pitching.
Did Eddie play for that team?
He had at times. They all did. It was because it took all ages, and that was the thing that did it. Okay?
So there it wasn't 10 to 12. It was just a bunch of kids who got together.
That's right. It was everybody. Yeah, anybody that wanted to play and had a glove.
Right.
And if you didn't have a glove, you could play too.
Sure, because they in those days they left the gloves out in the field.
Right. Most of the time.
And therefore the
other
kid
guy
could
came
come out
and
if he
picked it
didn't
up.
have,
Yep.
and that was just the
Right.
way it was in those
Right.
days.
Yeah.
I played in softball in Woburn, and again where I was living at the time, and I also played in the south end of Boston.
Yeah.
And I would leave my glove out there. One day I went out, my glove was gone.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, that was a different time, though.
One way to guarantee to play the game, to be on the team, was either bring the bat or a ball.
That was an old saying, when a kid got spoiled, he said he took his ball and his glove and went home.
Oh, right.
And
That's
that happened. We
yeah,
had a kid
many
that
times,
got
yes.
upset
Okay.
with us, and he took his ball and
Okay.
glove, and he went home.
Yeah, that's right.
And that was the end of that.
Now, do you have any other questions now?
No, well, I'm going to get a little bit more involved in the league. Now, from the league, did the players go on to play in high school or
most
college?
of them did. The good ones did.
Yeah.
The fellows like me, I didn't try out for baseball.
Did you play in that team, though?
I played occasionally. I
position?
wasn't a ball player.
Well, what position did
Usually
you play?
first base.
First base.
But I wasn't a ball player. My brother was. My brother was the sport. All our lives, my brother was the
Now,
sport.
did he go on to play high school?
He played football, same as I did. Right.
In high school?
Taunton High School, yes.
That would be Taunton High.
Yes.
That's another thing a lot of people have to understand is that Taunton High was the high school for the Raynham children.
Right.
And you're going to say, well, many years ago. No, not that many years ago. I think Donnie Francis went to, I think he did.
I believe he did
to
too.
Taunton High
Yes.
School.
Yes.
So the teams came in to play
Kids
for
came from
Taunton.
everywhere to play for
Al
Taunton.
Porter played for Taunton High, I
Right,
believe.
right.
And I don't know whether Donnie played baseball now. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
Donnie went to Taunton High.
Right.
And so we didn't come in until I would say the Raynham schools came in until 1960.
Yeah,
And that's
that's
around
right.
there.
Around that, yes.
And I don't say they get thrown out of Taunton, but they were told there was no room.
Yeah, well,
and there was nothing personal in it. I mean,
No, it was
Taunton High
it
outgrew
was numbers.
Berkeley,
Right.
the same thing.
Right.
So that was the way it was.
Well, the thing about it was when we went to North Raynham Grammar School, people you tell children today that there were 4 rooms, but there were 8 grades.
So it was 2
And that was
2.
very, very confusing
That
to a
is
lot
because where I went to school at one time, not always, but it was 2 and 2. There were 2 rooms, and it was 4 grades.
All right,
So grades
first
1
and
and
second,
2 are in 1,
third,
3 and 4.
and-
People, listen to this now. Take notes because this is history.
Yeah, in North Raynham Grammar Schools, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah,
And
but wait a minute. You just said
4
something.
teachers.
Yeah. Okay.
What did I say wrong?
No, you're right, but I'm trying to figure out where these people are sitting. Because right now we
They
have
were
a
in one
committee.
room.
People pay attention because we have a committee trying to save the North School. As it stands, we're going to use it if we can, with the permission of the town, if you will, for storage. And it seems to be 2 floors, and there might be 2 rooms per floor. So 1,
No,
2,
there were
3,
4
4.
rooms on the second floor.
Okay, that's what I was looking for.
Downstairs was, half was girls' entrance, half was boys. Downstairs were the toilets and everything for the boys on one
There
side.
wasn't rooms to study? There wasn't classes downstairs?
No, it was just an open space.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, and a boiler room and a teacher's room.
And the sanitaries down.
And the sanitary stuff.
Down on the first floor.
On the first floor, yes.
And the second floor, there were 4 rooms.
4 rooms in the hall.
But there were 8 grades.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yep.
So there was 2 grades in each room.
Right, and there were 25
Okay.
in the first grade and 25 in the second grade, and you sat side by side.
So there was 50 kids in one room.
Approximately, depending
I know
on
what
the time. It varied.
You and I, you don't think I am, but I'm close enough to. That's
well,
the way I went to school,
but
too. Grade 1 and 2 were in one room.
Yeah.
When I moved there from one school. And that's
the story that goes with that, we went to our first grade in Pine Street School in Taunton. And it was one of those days.
Now, that was grade 1.
Grade 1, yep.
See, people in those days, there was no kindergarten.
No kindergarten, no.
Now it's grade 1.
All right.
And you're 5 years old.
Yep, just passing over,
Okay.
yep.
Because, see, Norman said, what are you going to ask me then? And I'm taking his years, which is 1926.
All right.
And I'm doing it in a 10-year cycle, if you will, with your permission, of course. The first 10 years of your life. So at age 5, you went to Taunton for grade 1?
Grade 1, Pine Street School. We were living on Granite Street.
In Taunton?
In Taunton.
Oh, okay.
And, of course, that was one of the first arguments with school I ever heard of in my life, because we were told that we had to go to the School Street School, which was where the fire station is in Taunton.
Yes, sure.
And we had to walk from Granite Street.
Now, how far was Granite Street from there? I'm trying to picture.
Oh,
Was Granite
it's
Street
a good
off
mile.
of Bay Street?
Oh, it's up on Tremont Street, right where Tremont crosses the railroad track.
Okay.
And so mother went up and said, look, my kids cross that railroad track every day, and they're going to go here. Well, she went to the school board and got us in there, too. But the thing that got me was the first day we walked into class, Mom, of course, had one boy on each hand.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that's right. We're twins.
Twins, right?
Yeah.
And the principal looks up and says, you go in that room, you go in that room.
Oh.
They didn't allow twins in the same room.
I know there was that theory.
Would you like to hear the rest of the story?
That's why we're here.
I went to the second grade.
You got a double promotion.
I got a promotion right then. The worst thing that ever happened, because you talk about a lost soul.
You were 5 years old in the second
And I'm
grade.
in the second grade, yeah. So when we moved
And when
to
you were
Raynham,
7 years old, you were a senior?
and when we moved to Raynham, we, of course, they put you in the same room.
Yeah.
And we looked at each other for 2 weeks because we couldn't believe we're both in the same room.
Wow. Now, you were
but
in
that
the
was my
North
saving
School in
grace.
Raynham.
That was
now,
my
but
saving grace.
But now, were you and your brother both in grade 2 when you went there?
Yes, they were.
Oh.
They put us right in together.
But I meant in Taunton. You said they couldn't
No, he
stand-
went in the first grade. I went in the
that's what
second
I
grade.
meant.
Yeah.
But when you came to Raynham,
They put us both in the second grade.
oh, I see.
I missed the first grade,
Yeah, you had-
but I did the second grade twice. But it was a saving grace,
Yeah.
because I could see what the first grade was learning, and I was smart enough to pay attention
Yeah.
to both sides.
Yeah.
And that's the only way my saving grace was that. Otherwise, I'd have probably still been in
You'd
third
still be
grade.
in grade 2 or 3. Huh?
Yeah, but that was
But Norman, you moved from Taunton to Raynham
in the summer.
in
yeah.
the summer of after you completed grade 2 and your
At
brother.
grade 1. After we created grade 1, because we went into grade 2 in Raynham.
Yeah, but you had been two times.
No.
That's not a speech impediment, please. 2 times 2. Because you went to the second grade in Taunton.
In Raynham. No, in Raynham.
No, but
Oh, yeah. Oh, I understand what you're saying. Okay. Yep.
So you came and you went.
I did the second grade twice. Yep. But that was it. So we go
You
from
and your
there.
brother. Now you and your brother, did you stay in the same room until grade 8?
Yep, right through.
And that was okay in
And that was
Raynham.
fine in Raynham. Nobody cared. They
Then you
knew
went
that.
over to Taunton High.
And you went to Taunton High
Was there
School.
a bus that took you over?
Yeah, it was run by Mr. Williams that ran the garage.
Williams Garage
Williams
on-
Garage.
on-
right,
on-
and it was driven
on
by
North Main Street.
by Butterfield, Clifford Butterfield. Yeah,
Now he passed at about age 102,
yeah.
Mr. Butterworth.
Yes, he did.
And they had the restaurant.
Yeah,
there.
I
Did they
know
call it?
because I designed it.
You designed that restaurant.
Yes, I did.
Now, what was the name of that restaurant?
It
though?
was just Butterworth.
Butterworth.
Yeah. I did all the drawings for the original
Well,
restaurant.
there's still a shell of what you did.
The original is, yes, yeah.
Still
That
there.
was I did after I graduated from Wentworth. Yeah.
Okay.
so,
Now, Wentworth was a 2-year school.
right.
Okay. And you got the associate degree, 2 years, and you were an architect.
Well, no, you were.
What is the word?
Well, you were a builder. Is
Okay.
what they called it.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Were you self-employed when you built Butterworth? You
I
designed
just
Butterworth.
designed it. Yeah, on my own. Yeah.
I mean, did you do it for Mr. Butterworth?
No, yeah, just for Mr. Butterworth. I was teaching it. Had started teaching.
Was he
it
not
to
a funny guy?
He was a good egg.
He was. When you say egg,
Yeah,
did he
yeah,
deliver
because
it?
he brought the eggs if he
Don't
needed
get
them.
us going here, please. Pay attention. Mr. Butterworth also had
Raised
an
chickens.
egg farm.
Yes.
He had chickens, but he also had Butterworth Restaurant, which, by the way, was one of the best restaurants.
Of course,
in
they were
southeastern
good cooks.
Mass.
Yes. Yeah.
The shame
they
of
were-
it when they had to sell,
Right.
probably because of age, you know.
I would judge there.
I would think
Yeah,
so.
I would
His
think
wife,
So, yeah. And there were a lot of changes
Yeah.
that were going on all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't like to keep up with them, or couldn't keep up with them. So that was the changes. and
With
things
Cliff,
like-
you mean, or with the restaurant?
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, that was quite a restaurant, though, and that was a good restaurant.
Oh yeah.
I can
In
remember
those
that.
days, that was different. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I
a
did
family
that.
restaurant.
I think
Chicken,
in about 1948, I think.
plenty
I
of
designed-
eggs and chickens.
Oh yeah, basics, all the basics, right?
But they delivered. I don't know whether, I think Art Pillsbury might have delivered for them. A lot of the people that we know over the years worked for Mr. Butterworth,
Right.
making his deliveries. As a matter of fact, we don't want to get off on it, but I just want to say that Mr. Butterworth, I believe, and his wife were champion dancers, I believe.
At one time,
And-
I believe they
and
were.
They
yeah.
went national at
Yeah.
one time. They even
Yeah.
danced
Yeah.
in Europe, I believe. So,
But they were quite
small
a,
town, but
small
they
town,
were,
but they moved around.
They sure did.
They
They were
yeah.
quite a couple.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, get back to the North Raynham Grammar School, and you talk about
That's
going.
when I want to talk about the North
You
School.
talk about going from the 8th grade to Taunton High School.
Yes.
Well, of course, when it come time to go to Taunton High School, of course, they sent the papers up with a list of courses that you could take. Well, Barbara Sullivan was the principal, and you didn't have any choice because she decided for you what course you were going
Was
to
she
take.
principal or guy? Were there no guidance counselors when you first
Oh
went?
no, never.
No.
And
So
not
Barbara-
Raynham School. It was
No,
four
but-
teachers, and she was the principal.
Oh, Sullivan was
Sullivan
the
was
principal
the
of the
principal.
North School.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant over in
Oh
Taunton.
no.
So
We
Barbara
didn't go to
Sullivan-
Taunton.
No,
we
but
didn't
you-
go to find out.
But you went to grade 9, and
In
Barbara
Taunton-
had
in-
already set up your schedule.
Right. And your course.
Did your brother also go to Wentworth? Is it?
No, he did, but after he got out of his service. He graduated from the aircraft course,
Okay.
and he flew for Lockheed for 25 years.
Wow.
He flew the C-123s. He was a test flight engineer.
Did he? Was that passenger too?
No, the C-130 is a big cargo plane.
Now, did he fly in World War II for the Army Air Force?
He was in the Air Force in France. He didn't fly. He was a propeller specialist.
Because in those days, when the war first started, I believe, Norman, and I probably am wrong, but I don't think there was a Air Force per se. There
No, it
was
was
an
the
Air
Army-
Force,
no,
a
it was
division of the
Army
Army,
Air Force.
and of the Navy. Ted Williams was in the Navy
Yeah.
Air Force, which he called himself a Marine, which maybe he was.
Yeah.
But because the Marines were part of the Navy also.
Right.
So
No,
your brother was in the Army Air,
Air Force, right.
Were you in the service?
I was
Norman?
in the Army Air Force for a very short time.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't salute. I played football and dislocated my shoulder, and they threw me out pretty quick.
They threw you out of the service completely.
Yes, sir. You went home fast.
Wow.
They weren't going to fix it.
No, the service has a certain amount of time. Now, could you get disability on that?
No, I missed by 2 days.
See, that people don't understand about the service, so Norman and I is going to explain it to you. You have to be in the service a certain amount of time.
90 active days.
To be-
I was
to be-
88, and they kicked me out.
Wow.
They knew it.
And there was your injury playing football for them.
No, for Taunton High School. I had the injury beforehand, but it hadn't completely healed.
Oh, and they found out about it.
Well, they knew about it before I went in. They said, "Oh, that'll be all right." But
And then it wasn't.
Then it wasn't. So
Why? Because you couldn't lift.
I couldn't salute.
Oh, that'd be more than just not saluting. Norman, come
No,
on.
that was about the size of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I knew the manual of arms better than anybody there because I'd been in the Taunton High School Cadet Corps for 3 years.
Yeah, you couldn't raise your hand to
But
salute.
I couldn't salute. Basically, that's
But you
what it
could
was.
nod.
Yeah, well, it didn't do any good
No,
in those days. No.
So I want to explain it to you that if Norman had been in there 91 days,
Yeah.
he would have been eligible for a lifetime
Yeah.
Of
but
disability.
Yeah.
And he'd still be collecting to this day.
Right.
And yet you never got a nickel.
Never got a
had a
nickel.
dinner and never
No,
had a nickel.
No, never got a thing. Yeah.
Wow.
But I was happy.
Well, yes
I got out of school.
I know.
Very fortunate, I got out of school, and I went before I picked up my discharge on Commonwealth Avenue and walked
Now,
over.
did
I
you
walked
get-
over to Wentworth and signed up and went to Wentworth in the
The
fall.
discharge, was that called a general discharge?
No,
or-
medical.
Oh, medical discharge?
Yeah.
They so classify.
Oh yeah,
Medical discharge.
but it was not enough active days.
One,
Oh yeah, well I mean probably if I had a big lawyer, you
you're
could fix
a
it,
good
but
guy because most people would be very upset to miss by 2 days. I can remember in basic training there was a poor guy that couldn't adjust at all.
Yeah.
And so his mother and father came down and picked him up, and everybody said he's got no disability because he hadn't been in
Yeah.
the 90 days. And people may not understand it. They may wonder sometimes when Johnny Jones went off and came back in a matter of a month
Yeah.
or two, and that would be why, because the government really wanted to unload you. I don't mean that in a
The biggest
negative
problem, and people don't understand it today, if we had a draft today, at least 50% of the kids that would be drafted would be turned down for medical or physical reasons because they're not the way they would not be as tough as we were.
sense. They were called 4F.
Yeah, but they also were not. They don't go out and play every day.
I know.
If you sit and play with
Yeah.
a computer all day,
Yeah. Yeah.
you don't know how to go play in the woods and jump a brook and do everything that we did.
I hadn't thought of it that way, but you're correct.
But I'll.
I have another show which I maintain that the wars for the United States are over of a military type. There'll be police actions where they'll have certain
Oh,
people, and I maintain that the best soldiers, no disrespect to you and I, they come from the South. They think military more down the South.
Oh, they shoot more guns than we do.
That's my point. That's my
And
point.
that people don't think of those things.
No, but I'm saying that what you're saying I hadn't thought of, but you're absolutely correct. The physical dexterity is missing. Well, the schools don't help any either. Sorry about that, schools. Half them don't have gym
Phys
anymore, I
ed,
don't
but
believe.
it's
Phys ed.
coming back to it now. But I mean, it's minimum compared to what we used to have. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing about it, I started talking about picking your courses to
Yes.
go to high school. Of course, you know
Yes.
the high school, your college course and your general
Yeah.
course and your all the.
I
whole
was a
man-
commercial course.
Yeah, all right. See, my twin brother was a general course. I got put into manual training because I like to play with wood and things like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that. Well, of course, then
people don't
just
understand.
now-
Norman's a craftsman, though, and he has a show. Well, we have a time when us old elderly people go on and tell stories to the kids, and Norman always brings in a whole
Well, the thing about it is
table
that
full of.
and I always kid about it because I have to we talk about what things happened in education and stuff. But when I went to school, it was manual. When I first year, it was manual training. The second year, it was manual arts.
Now, manual training meant what courses now? Because people
Well, you
may
had
not recognize
wood shop,
Yeah.
graphics,
it. Yeah.
low math courses, low English courses, it was the lowest. It was as low as you could go and go to high school.
Which probably resulted in the present vocational schools.
It
Because
was
they-
even lower than those in those days. But what you
it
had
was
to do,
low-
the thing about
fact
it
that it
was,
was low created the
Yeah,
vocational schools.
right? Yes. Well, there was a vocational
Because
school
people
going
weren't
on
learning
at
the
the same
trades.
time because the only thing it taught in high school was woodworking. They did have a vocational school in the next building out back, which
Trade,
was long
we
gone,
call that a trade school.
which was for mechanics, for machinists and things like
I remember
that.
That's the parking lot now. The Morton
That's
Hospital.
right. That's right. Yeah, yeah, and all of that. See,
Because
But
they
the
almost
thing
taught
about it-
over there. They almost had courses over
Oh
there.
yeah. The thing about it is that when I got in that course, I was allowed to take electives because I had such a small schedule. I mean, so I took trig.
Here you are. You go on to Wentworth and design buildings.
So I had-
and they
I
got
took-
you in the slow learner
I
class.
took trig. I took algebra. I took geometry. I passed all those courses flying.
That's funny.
My brother got ready, and of course now you got to remember when you're graduating in 1944. What are you going to do the day after you
You're
graduate?
going to enlist and go in the service.
You're not going to list. You're going to be taken. Right? It's automatic,
The
right?
Jeep pulls up to your house, Norman.
Yeah, pretty near.
Don't worry
But
about where you're
the
going.
payoff was
Yeah.
that we got them all added up. My twin brother had 88 credits, and he needed 90.
Wow.
Right? I had 96. So they took two of mine and put them on his report
Did
card,
they
and
really?
he graduated.
Well, you look alike.
Well, we
you
passed.
did
We
you?
passed as the.
So you
Chairman-
had points to scare. But now, what were his classes? Do you remember, or do you?
Oh
know?
well, he took French and English and a couple
had
of math courses.
He had an academic class.
Yeah, all academic stuff, and of course,
With 88
but he
credits.
flunked French 4 years in a row with the same teacher.
I'm gonna say something. He was very consistent.
Yes, he was very consistent. Yeah,
I
But-
never cared for French.
Yeah.
I like the French people.
So when
I
he
never
got out
cared.
of the service, he wanted to get into Wentworth to do aircraft, and he says, "I can't get in with my diploma."
Yeah.
I says, "I can handle that." He
Did you
says,
do
"What do
trade
mean?"
diplomas?
No, I was working at Wentworth.
Wow.
I was teaching there.
And what year was that?
40, let's see, I graduated in 46. 48 he went in.
You were teaching in Wentworth at that time?
Yeah, I graduated from Wentworth and started teaching in the fall.
Wow.
Well, the main reason was they had, when I went to class, there was the first class after the war, there were 12 or 14 in the class. The
At
following
Wentworth.
year they
Today
had,
it's a 4-year school.
yeah, well,
Wentworth.
it was, but they still have 2-year courses.
Oh, sure, of course
But
they
they,
do.
but they,
Vocational, yeah.
but they, the second year they had 72 students. Of course, they only had one shop instructor.
Yeah.
Well,
Enter Norman.
well, I'd had 4 years of woodworking at
Yeah.
at Taunton High School and 2 at Wentworth,
Yeah.
and I could teach how to all they needed me to teach.
I would guess after 6 years of formal education.
And so I stayed right there. I taught there 12 years at that time.
No kidding.
Before I went out to see whether or not I could practice what I was preaching.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so-
So you were married in 1948,
48.
but at that time you were teaching at Wentworth.
That's right.
And then you're in the 50s now, still
Yeah.
at Wentworth.
Yeah.
And then somewhere in the 50s,
Somewhere in the 50s, we decided we'd go out and
out,
go to work.
See if you can do what you.
Yeah. And
You know the old saying, those who, and I was a teacher, so don't take offense. The old saying, teachers know, those who can do and those who can't teach. So
Yeah,
that was,
that's
that was
right.
nasty, and it
But-
wasn't true.
But the thing at Wentworth was at the time, they did not hire you because of your degrees. They hired you for what you could do.
That day has changed.
That's right. Now it's all paperwork.
I know. It's all paper. Got the right paper.
My
you get
best
there.
friend at Wentworth had been there 26 years, written 6 books,
Wow.
and had a master's degree, and was told that he had 4 years to get a doctorate degree, and he says, "No, I'm retiring."
Wow.
And I don't blame him.
No.
He knew more about the subject than anybody else. He
I
didn't,
know.
but because they
And he
wanted
wrote books on it.
6 of them, because they wanted accreditation.
Yeah, I know.
He had to have a
the
doctor's
same way
degree.
now.
I would be too. I would
Yeah.
have had to go for a doctor's
Yeah,
degree too.
But you went to work in industry.
I went to work, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you went up to Maine for a little bit.
We
of
went
time.
in Maine. We moved to Maine for 9 or 10 years. Yeah, approximately. Yeah, enjoyed it very much. I taught up there, taught school, and did a lot of construction work.
Now, you taught at a high school, did you?
I taught high schools and I taught at a vocational school, both.
And but also, you also had to do with road works or something?
No, I built hospitals and built new schools. I was a clerk of the works on many buildings.
Wow.
Yeah, so,
Wow.
yeah.
When you returned, did you do the same work?
I did here too, yeah.
Now, what are we, now
I
where are
work
we?
for- I
After
work-
Maine, are we in the 70s?
Oh, it was, trying to think. Yeah, at least that. I get mixed up on dates, but it
Well,
was
no,
rough.
but
It was travel too much.
numerically, you're
Yeah,
there. You're
yeah.
into the 70s.
Yeah.
You're coming back.
Yeah, we came back and then I taught in Beverly.
Oh, you stayed as a teacher.
I went back as a teacher, yeah.
In
And then
Beverly
I went
High
from
School?
Beverly, no, Beverly Trades, North Shore,
Vocational school.
North Shore Regional Voc.
Okay.
And when I was in Maine, I set up 2 vocational school shops.
Wow. Wow.
I worked roughly for the State Department. That was one of the reasons.
You've had quite a career.
I had a lot of fun.
And you retired in the year 19 what?
80, no.
80 something?
Yeah, well, this is 21 years, so you figure it, 22 years.
Oh, I didn't do that good in math. But I will tell you, we're round as a Kurt Gowdy used to say, rounding third and
We're
heading
getting
home.
to the end of
And
home.
we're
Yeah,
getting
well,
to
we'll
the
have
end
to
of
do
it.
something else another day.
So we'll have to bring you back sometime. I think we're having Patty Rollins and maybe Billy coming up again this month. So Norman, if you will, thank you very much for coming in. Thank you for giving us the events. Good to see that car. As you said, you bought it for 150. You could sell it for 40,000 now.
Oh,
if you
yeah, that's
still
right.
have
I'd love to have it.
Well, we thank you very much for
Thank you.
watching. Thank you very much, and we'll see you the next time on The Good Old Days.
Thank you.